Tough game. Um, the second quarter was rough. The third quarter was rougher. And against a team like this, you got to be super tight. You got to be doing everything right. You got to be making shots. We just struggled. We struggled with their great players, and just didn't have enough in the tank tonight to, after halftime, we came out. I think we may have gotten it tied pretty quickly in the third quarter, or either that or we were just down one. And then we had a string of misses, and then they had a string of makes, and then they just kind of kept going. And we just had a very difficult night.
It's obviously a very good defensive team. It never really felt like the offense fully got into gear. What do you sense led to that?
Well, so a little bit of it is just straight shot making, which you're going to, which is going to come and go in an NBA game, in an NBA season. We held their three-point percentage down. I mean, they shot 22%, 22.9. We shot 26, and with the way their defense is set up to really take away the paint, they're gonna, you're gonna get some good three-point looks against them, and we needed to have a 35, 36, 37% night at least, to be where we needed to be. So it's frustrating. The fouls there's a big discrepancy, but Giannis makes you foul them, and as a team they don't foul much, so it's that's tough. And the one period we did get into the bonus, we were really unable to take advantage of it. So just a hard night.
You mentioned their paint defense. Is that just generally what they do, or do you sense they were specifically trying to key in on Sabonis tonight? He was scoreless in the first half.
It's generally what they do, but we're seeing virtually every team we play swarm Sabonis, put 2 and 3 guys, hack, slash at him. And if you look at his arms, you'll see all kinds of marks and cuts and stuff like that, and it's indicative of the respect that teams have for him. But I do think he takes a beating in there.
One bright spot tonight was Caris. He got going all 3 levels, three-pointer at the rim, one-on-one. How encouraging is it to see him look like him, basically?
Yeah, he was the one guy that really generated some things. And then, when we got to the point in the third quarter where it was time for him to rotate out, the score really started going the other way, so I just elected not to bring him back in, and hopefully he'll be able to play tomorrow night, but I don't know that yet. But you're absolutely right. I mean, he's generating a lot in the paint. His rhythm is better. I think our recognition of how to play with him in that aggressive mode is improving, and we got to keep building on it. And the most important thing is that he continues to feel better and better and better.
You mentioned them packing the paint, and Sabonis and Turner only combining for 6 points in this game. Is there anything you guys can do differently or strategically change to get those guys more involved against a defense like that?
Well, they didn't play that many minutes either, and when you get behind and you're trying to figure out a way to generate points and maybe scramble them up defensively, in some cases, like tonight, it takes your bigs out of the game. So I don't think we overreact to one game where our 2 bigs don't score a lot of points. But, we got 2 games in the books with these guys. We'll play them a couple more times. They're going to be challenging games, but, we learn something each time.
Malcolm, that's obviously one of the better defensive teams, but what do you sense led to the offense never really getting into gear tonight?
I think we missed shots. That's a team that's going to let you shoot early threes. they're going to give you wide open threes in the sort of the mix of your offense, and we weren't making them.
You guys took 45 of them tonight. Were all those, for the most part, good looks? Were you happy with the looks you were getting?
Yeah, I think they were. I think we took a few quick ones, but for the most part, I think we took good shots. I think we took good threes. We just weren't able to knock them down.
Miles, the difference in the paint, 62 to 36. Why do you think it's so hard to, one, score against them in the paint, and then I guess keep them from making those shots around the rim? Having played there for 3 years, they're a team that funnels everything to their big. That's either Brook or Giannis, whoever's in the game. And those guys do a good job of staying at the rim, staying in the paint. It makes it tough to score on them. Probably the brightest spot of the team tonight was Caris and the way he played. How encouraging is it to see him kind of get back to who he is?
It's definitely encouraging. I'm glad he played well, but we got to win games.
Against that sort of defensive system you just described, what can you guys do to get your front court guys a little bit more involved?
I think use them more on the pick and roll. I think tonight they were hedging those ball screens. The guards figuring out a way. We were just swinging it to the other wings, and the guards figuring out a way to get it to those bigs on the short roll so they can be playmakers.
Malcolm, going back to Caris real quick, what has his recovery looked like from someone who's seen it from the inside, and how has he kind of been able to keep a good attitude as he's come back?
Caris is a competitor, and he's a worker. I think guys like him and even like myself, I think we thrive from our work ethic, and that's where we gain our confidence. And he's a guy that's been tenacious with his work in the gym, regardless of where he's at in his recovery. He does up to the amount that he can do. He's doing that every day. And then when they released him and he was 100%, he's working out hard before practice, after practice. I mean, his work ethic is why he has the results that he wants.
Malcolm, looking forward. You guys have a game tomorrow. You've been a pretty good back-to-back team this year, and you were last year too. What does it take to be strong in those type of situations?
Start and finish games the right way. A lot of teams that struggle on back-to-backs, they come into that second game and they have slow starts and dig a hole for themselves that they can't recover from. So we have to have a good start, and I think we start and finish quarters well, and we'll be able to come out with a win.
Justin, overall the offense has been pretty good lately, but tonight it never really felt like it got into gear. Why do you sense that was?
I don't know. It's a good question. Maybe it was just, struggle making some shots here and there. Maybe we were trying to focus on what we need to do defensively. I don't know. Can't really give you an answer for that one.
Justin, why do you think Caris seemed to round a corner lately, especially tonight when he got going? Probably one of the few bright spots, but why do you think, just seeing it up close, he's been able to do that?
I just think it's been more time on the floor, more time for his body to heal and kind of acclimate to playing basketball. When you come back from an injury or come back even from being out, sometimes it takes a little time. So I think it's just more games under his belt and him recovering and his body getting used to, doing this job.
Justin, playing the reigning champions can usually be used as a measuring stick. Where would you evaluate where the team is, having played the team that just won the championship?
Obviously we have a lot of work to do. We're still focusing on us and trying to put the best product and best team out there. Playing a team that won the championship, you see the level that you have to be at each night. As far as the mistakes you make, the mistakes you can't make, and just the level that you approach the game and into the game with, is something we can continue to improve on, and as well as playing together on both ends and just trusting one another. And again, they're the champions, so it's going to be a tough game against them every time. But I do believe that we can get to a space to where we're giving teams like that a hard time.
Justin, Sabonis had a season low tonight. Turner only had 2 points. Sabonis had 4. How much of it was their defense, and maybe you all just, I guess, making a conscious effort to get those guys the ball and get them involved?
Yeah, there's a lot of games in this season, and I usually don't overthink things or overlook things, and especially from a personal point of view. But sometimes, man, it doesn't roll for you on a personal level. Sometimes the game doesn't flow for you, and sometimes it doesn't flow for the team. I would have to literally go back and watch how they guarded them. But,
no, Domas missed a few easy shots that he usually would make. Sometimes, I mean, Domas is usually 20 and something every game. So, he has one he doesn't get is like, whoa. But he is human, and there are going to be times where it's going to be tough for him. We rarely see it, but I just think it was one of the games that just wasn't really rolling for him.
You guys are 3-1 on back-to-backs this year. It was a strength last year too. What does it take to be good in these type of scenarios like you'll have coming up tomorrow?
Yeah, we have to really, like we continue to speak about, play together, really use one another, move ourselves in the ball, and for whatever reason, we've had a lot of energy coming into back-to-back. So hopefully that's the case. And usually if you feel good, you play well. So we're gonna have to use one another, especially defensively. If we get stops, I think we're gonna be just fine.
I promise I'm not trying to get you in trouble. Carlisle basically was saying, Sabonis gets whacked. He's got the scars to kind of prove it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, how do you view that as his teammate?
Yeah, no, Sabonis gets hammered down there. Everybody can see it. I think sometimes what the problem is he can draw so many fouls that they're thinking, okay, we can't give him all these fouls. I mean, I can't tell them what they're thinking, but that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, no, he for sure. You look at the man's arm; he has a new deep scratch every game. I literally just saw another one today. I'm like, dang, my man's getting killed down there. But sometimes it happens that way when you just do so well of getting something over and over and over again. Maybe coaches are complaining, blah blah blah, but if you ever in a situation guarding Domas down there, you're gonna have to foul that man. Period, and he gets fouled. So it's a fact. I'm not worried about getting in trouble for that.
Everyone knows about Giannis, 2-time MVP and everything like that. Are there any parts of his game that you saw tonight that maybe people don't talk about that impresses you?
Impresses me? I mean, Giannis is Giannis, so he's impressive. Period. I guess it's like a normal impressive is what he does, but I feel like he did actually shoot the turnaround jumper in the post pretty well today. Usually when you're guarding someone like that, you don't want him to get into the paint. You want to force him into shooting, jump shots, even in the mid-range area or whatever, as long as he's not getting to the rim. And I don't remember how many he shot, but I feel like he shot it actually pretty well. So I'll give him that.
Caris, I know frustrating to come in a loss, but it really feels like you're building personally a consecutive streak of games together where you're playing really well. How does your game individually feel right now?
I think my game feels good, man. I think more importantly, though, my body feels good. It's getting more adjusted to playing heavier minutes, longer stretches. So, yeah, I wish we could have got the win tonight, though. We got another one tomorrow, and that's the beautiful thing about this league, quick turnaround.
You mentioned Friday night preparing yourself for the back-to-back upcoming, and Rick spoke to there being some question as to whether you'd be able to do it. What kind of things are you going through, and what kind of boxes have to be checked to know if you'll play in a game like tomorrow?
I think for me it's a field thing at this point. I've been feeling good, this past week. And that's the goal, to continue to feel good, to continue to put myself in position to feel good, get as much treatment as possible, and just go in there without thinking about it.
Caris, as far as on-court goes, are there like certain things that you've done, maybe even tonight, where it's like, I'm feeling like myself again, and you get the breakdown layer before the end of the first half, that I was kind of like, oh, like that's a Caris LeVert type of basket?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. I think moves like that, when I just go into it without thinking about it, I think that's very telling. And I feel like tonight I wasn't really thinking about, my back or anything like that. And that's the goal going forward, to continue to put myself in that situation. So just got to keep up with the treatment. And, time heals all. So, the longer, the more time that comes, the better I feel.
Against a team like that really tries to always have a big around the basket defensively and get guys in the middle of the court, do you feel like your mid-range game becomes a lot more important against their interior defense?
Yeah, I think so. Especially nowadays, I think those are the shots that the defense kind of gives. You got to be willing to give up something, and I think a lot of teams are willing to give up that shot. So if you can make that shot, you kind of cause teams to adjust, maybe switch some pick and rolls and things like that. So, us guards, we practice a lot of those shots just to have, just in case.
Caris, we saw recently with Clay after that Portland game how hard rehab can be for some players. You yourself, you've missed some time recently. What were some of the more difficult parts of your own return to the court?
I think playing through pain once you get back on the court. For me, that was the toughest part for this rehab. Playing through the pain, not thinking about it, and just trusting your body. I think those are super important. And then finding game rhythm. It's one thing to go and play 3-on-3. With some of the managers and things like that, but it's another thing to play 5-on-5 against guys who've been playing for months, you know what I mean? So just finding a rhythm within the game as well.
Obviously Giannis gets the top billing anytime you play the Bucks, but Drew's a pretty good player as well, and he had a near triple-double tonight. What makes him such a unique player, if that makes sense? I know he's a really good on-ball defender, but then I look up and he has a little bit of everything in the box score.
He's good at everything. Can shoot it. Really good passer, like you said, great defender as well. Gets in the lane, makes plays for others. Can knock down the mid-range. Can go one-on-one, shoot spot-up threes. So he's someone who can do a little bit of everything, and I think he fits perfectly on that team around Giannis and Middleton as well.
Caris, I know you're still working your way back, but once you feel like you're at 100% again, what do you see your role on this team being? What are you out there to do in particular?
Just be myself. I think for me, I'm just a player who kind of does a little bit of everything. I'm a playmaker offensively, scorer, closer as well, and then solid defensively. I think those are the things that, we talked about, that I talked about with coach and, some of the staff before the season started. So I think that's definitely my role going forward.